Hello, I have bought some things for the garden, and this time all of this is for the patio that I'm currently on, which also has the very small areas of land I can actually plant in. For some reason, I'm planning a winter garden already because I have an idea in my head that over the winter we look out the window and we see this area, and I want to see some color. So I want to get evergreens that can survive in pots in the winter out here, and that's going to be one of my fall projects. So I'm really excited about that. Not only did I get pots and some plants, I also have another arch, which I'm also really excited about, and I love how it looks there. So I'm going to go more into specific details of everything that I've got. I don't know if I'm going to plant any of the pots up today because I'm still trying to figure out what exactly I'm going to do, but the arch, I'm going to try to actually get that into the ground, which it gets to go in the ground. My other arch is in 2 pots, so this is going to be a very fun day. Also, I know I look like the 4th of July. I did not mean to, but I got this hat sent from Ball, and I love it. I usually go for like neutral color hats, but I really like the red, and I feel like the size of this is perfect. So let me talk about the pots first. These pots I have fallen in love with. So everything here is from Crescent Garden, and in the spring they sent me 8 pots to try out, 4 which are self-watering, and then 4 which are not self-watering. I fell in love with them, so I just purchased 8 more pots myself. Now they did give me a discount code in the spring, which is still active. I know that because I used it when I purchased the 8 additional pots that I just got. So I will link that down below in case you're looking for pots. I don't make any money off of the code, but it will get you 15% off. Now I think Crescent Garden is probably my favorite place to get pots because I love the colors of them and I love the styles of them. I fell in love with these 2 specific styles because these are the ones that I'm using up on the rooftop deck for my orchard, because I like the idea of pots that look like old stone pots, except these are really lightweight and can be left out over winter. So I love the look of these. I'm going with all black down here. Upstairs I have, I think the color's called Stone or something like that, but here I'm going all with Caviar Black. So this one is agave. It's just round. I don't know how else to describe it. They do come with drainage holes in the bottom, and I think a good amount of drainage holes too. There's 3, so I don't drill any extra. Sometimes when I get containers, I will drill extra holes, especially if there's only 1 drainage hole. But this is the 14-inch diameter pot, and this is the smallest of the agave size. They have 3 different sizes. I also have the largest here that I'll show you in just a second. But these I want on the patio. Now I am playing around with what I want in these pots. So I do have this cypress that I picked up when Eric and Christopher were here, and I got this from Chalet Nursery. I think it would look nice in this pot here, but I am also wondering, like, do I need to get a bigger pot for this to survive over winter? It will grow, so I would repot it as it gets larger, but I do think this size pot works for it right now, so I'm leaning towards this pot. But again, I want to make sure that it can survive over winter, so that's why I'm not planting anything yet, because I'm still making a lot of decisions. And then this right here is the large agave. This is 21 inches in diameter, also in the Caviar Black. Now I think these are going to go in the parkway, so that's the area between the sidewalk and the street. I really haven't done much with it because even though we can plant in it, it's technically not our property. So if the city has to come through and do any work, they can tear up any plants, they can trim the trees that are out there. They are in total control of what happens out there, even though, again, we are allowed to plant. Also, because there are trees there, there's a lot of roots, so I don't really like to try to dig in there because it's very difficult. But what will solve that is pots. This is what I have in my head. 2 of these, which might be too large, I'll see this fall, and 1 panicle hydrangea in each. I think that would be really beautiful. I would go for whatever I can find as the lowest zone panicle hydrangea. And I feel like in this pot this size, 21 inches in diameter, I can get like a good medium-sized panicle hydrangea to be happy in here. So this one and this one, I think, are going to go in the parkway. So that's where these 2 I'm planning on putting. And I've just really fallen in love with the new area I have down here with more like modern planting. I would never, like on the rooftop deck when I started gardening, my least favorite type of gardening would probably be a bunch of black pots with white flowers, but now that's what I've fallen in love with. So parkway for these 2. And then the other style I've fallen in love with is Brunello. I like these because they look like terracotta pots, but they are not. Again, very lightweight, can be left out over winter. 3 drainage holes, and this one is also a 14-inch diameter, like the small agave. What I'm thinking for this is some boxwoods, because I really like the look of round boxwoods in terracotta pots, and this will basically give me that look. So I have some very small boxwoods right now. I have 4, so I need to get a 4th of these pots, and I think that's what I'm going to put in there. Although I am also very impatient, so I might look for some larger boxwoods at a nursery center when I go and look for just more cold hardy evergreens in general that hopefully can survive in containers. But I'm very excited with how this could potentially look over this winter, just to have a garden full of something, because my rooftop gardens and the garage deck garden, a lot of that's going to be covered with tarps, furniture coverings. It's not going to necessarily be pretty to look at, but I want to make this area down here pretty. And this is the most insulated area because it is surrounded by walls, so it should be a little bit warmer down here than it would be on the rooftop deck, for example. So these are the new pots that I just got. I will put my discount code for 15% below in case you want to use it. Definitely use it unless you have one for 20% or more. So I am going to set these to the side, and then I'll show you the arch. The other garden purchase I'm very excited about is this arch. So like I mentioned, I do have the arch that goes onto the garage deck, which I love because, again, growing in containers, there's things I never thought I would have before I tried them, and an arch was one of those, but that's held up really well. And that is the Titan arch from Gardener Supply. That's what I was gonna get for this area, which this is just a path that leads out to the alley, and they don't have anything available for sale on their website. I have a little bit of inside information, but I think Gardener Supply, someone else has bought it, so they're redoing the website, and then also they might not have the same products that they have before. So I went ahead and just got an arch on Amazon. This is 94.5 inches tall, but that's not including the probably 12 inches that we're gonna attempt to put into the ground. But it's fine. I think it's gonna work. It doesn't seem quite as stable as the Gardener Supply one. When I put that together, it was very easy. I feel like all the connecting points are very secure. This was on Amazon. It was cheaper, but I feel like some areas were secure and some areas are just kind of sitting on top of each other. And it did come with screws. Some areas had places to put them in. I did try to put them into the other spots, but I couldn't get it through the material here. So I don't know. I still think it's going to be fine once it's in the ground and to grow a plant up, but I just could definitely tell a difference in the ability for me to put it together on my own and just how stable all the pieces were. Now, the arch comes with this that you pound into the ground, and then that way it makes the hole for the 4 legs. I think I'm going to probably scooch this side over to be more in the middle of this wall. I do right now have a heuchera right in front, but this way, if I want to plant something else behind it to climb up the arch, probably a clematis, because that does well in shade and part shade, I want to have room for something behind it. This, I'll probably either do the exact same plant up it or some other climbing plant, but this area does get the intense midday sun for about 3 to 4 hours, so it's still what I would consider a part shade area, but they have to be able to handle really, really high heat. Right now, there is a ballerina zinnia that I need to harvest, and I'm just sticking it through so it looks pretty. So let's go ahead and see if I can get this in the ground. What I'm gonna do first is just push down a little bit in where I think I want the arch to go. That way I'll have the holes in there that I can pound the stake into. And there is this pointy part on the end. However, when I had it just sitting in the ground right now, and I took it out, the pointy part fell off, and I don't want it to fall off every time I want to pound a hole because I feel like that pointy end is important. So right now I have put masking tape on it. Probably after this I will super glue it on just so it stays, but I don't have time to wait for super glue to dry. I also have a mallet, which I got originally back in 2020 to put my elevated beds together, and I was like, how often am I actually going to use a mallet from now on? But it's come in handy quite a bit. All right, let's see how easy this is going to be to see with all the plants in the way, but basically I'm just pounding this into the ground. That's kind of where we're hitting probably cement underneath there. I'll pull that up. Ah, the end stayed on. And now we do the other side. And then we will guide these into those holes, if I can find the other one. There we go. All right, both sides are in. This one I actually could just push down because the ground here was much softer. And let's see. Sturdy enough. I will have to move that tree, but that is an issue for future Bethany. And I think once I get more evergreens and pots and things situated, I might find a different place that I want for this anyway. I mean, it'll probably still be, honestly, I might just move it to where that white impatient is. That might look really nice. I was looking online to find inspiration photographs of container evergreen gardens in the winter, and I just couldn't find what I was looking for. I found a lot of in-ground gardens with evergreens. I found like a pot or two or three of evergreens, but I couldn't find like a garden space and what that could potentially look like. So let me know if you have any ideas, or if you have something similar to this that you want to send me a photo of. So let me gather the plants. These are the plants that I want to figure out what I'm going to do with this fall and get them planted in their containers. So first, this is not an evergreen, but this, Eric and Christopher have them in their garden and they're absolutely stunning. So when they saw that these were available at Shelley Nursery, they basically said I should have one, and I agreed. So this is the Kinsley's Ghost Vine. It has really beautiful discs with yellow flowers in it when it's in bloom. This can do full sun to full shade. It is hardy down to zone 4. So I'm hoping down here that will survive outside in the container. Again, I am zone 6, and this little area should remain a little bit warmer in the winter. Now, the size of this can get 6 to 12 feet tall and 5 feet wide. So it would not be in one of these spots. In fact, let me grab the larger agave. I would probably put it in a pot this size, the 21-inch diameter, and hopefully that will be happy for its lifetime in there. I will of course put it on wheels, because even though I can very easily lift the pots right now, once the plant's in there and all the soil's in there, it's much harder to move around. So I'll put it on wheels just in case I have to move it. But I think that would be a pretty good size, which means I need to get a third one of these. Next is this tree that I fell in love with at Chalet. I remember, I don't think bluish evergreens were something that I paid attention to growing up, but when we were at the Chicago Botanic Garden, one of the first times we were there, and they have an evergreen section, the blue just pops out and it's incredibly beautiful. So when I saw this, I was like, I need a blue tree in my garden. So this one is the Baby Blue Ice Saguaro Cypress. You can do sun to part shade. Part shade is perfect down here. It will only get to 3 feet tall by 2 feet wide in 10 years. I don't think I remember that it was that slow growing. So actually, it might be able to stay in this pot for quite a few years. It is zone 3, so again, should overwinter in the container just fine. The only issues I've had with plants that maybe can survive the cold here, but they don't make it, is that they've stayed too moist in the pot. But because of the size, like the diameter of this evergreen compared to the diameter of the pot, it's not like a lot of water is going to be able to get in there. And I don't usually water things over winter anyway, but when it's cold and it does rain and snow, that moisture just sticks to these plants. So I have to figure out, because I want them out, I want to see them, so I don't want them covered. So I got to figure out some ideas for how to keep these alive. But I do have evergreens on the top that I've left out and they survived. So I'm hoping this will be okay too. Then I have 4 neatball boxwoods, not meatball, neatball. These are dwarf boxwoods. They will get to between 2 to 3 feet tall and wide at their maturity. They are only hardy down to zone 5, so that does make me a bit nervous putting them out here in containers. But even if I only leave one out over the winter to see how it does, even though every winter can be different, I do want to at least test these in, again, because I like the idea of them in terracotta pots in here. But it also is very, very small. So I don't know if, because this is zone 5, if I should just put it in the ground somewhere, like maybe even back there or in the parkway, so that it has that extra insulation since it is only zone 5. And then maybe I can look for hardier shrubs that I can put in here and keep them out. Ideally, I mean, if I can get anything down to zone 2, I feel very safe with that. Zone 3 is perfect. Zone 4, that's the minimum recommendation, but sometimes I still get worried if we have a colder than average winter. But 5 is where I'm like, I don't know if that's really gonna work. So we'll see. But I have 4 of these that I need to figure out where I'm going to put. So those are the plants that I have. All of my hydrangeas back here, I am going to attempt to leave them out over winter, but I'm going to put them underneath the stairs, all shoved together and then tarped, because those, from my experience, do need extra protection. Some of them that are even less hardy, I might actually carry into the garage because the garage is right there and it's easy enough to move these. So we'll kind of see where the hydrangeas end up, but I am excited to hopefully have some color and shape over the winter. I do plan to put lights on the arch. I don't plan to plant anything this fall to grow up it, so that will give us something beautiful to look at. I'll have the evergreens out here. I will move the hammock somewhere else, but I really love just sitting in the hammock out here. It's been nice. So I do want to get some more evergreens to fill up the pots that I have, 2 pinnacle hydrangeas to put out in the parkway, and I think that might be it for now. We are going to go to a few garden centers in the next few weeks. There's a lot of sales that are happening near the end of the season, so I will probably grab any evergreen that is hardy to zone 2 or 3 that stays relatively small or just grows very, very slowly, and I will see if I have a pot for them, and if not, I will order more pots. So I think that's going to be it for this video. I'm very excited to see how this all comes together, but again, I don't want to start planting until I have all the pieces that I need, so that way I know what's going to go where. I don't have to plant and then replant anything. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any visuals for a container evergreen garden and how that would look over the winter, because I have an image in my head, but I would like to get more ideas than just what's in my head. So let me know down below, and then I will see you in the next video. Bye.